Severe storm just on the north side of the Sweetwater area. Storm spotters, chasers on that storm are reporting hen egg size hail with that storm as it's moving to the east-southeast. And we've seen some wind gusts measuring 47 miles per hour here on the north side of Sweetwater. And unfortunately, the latest radar scans are indicating that storm is turning more to the southeast to bring that large hail here to the north and east side of the Sweetwater area. So get inside, stay away from the windows, get your car inside if it's safe, because you've got some very large hail with this severe storm that's marching through the north and soon to be the east side of the Sweetwater area. That storm is warned until 7:30 this evening. And the way the storm is tracking, it's not out of the question that storm could hold together and kind of bring those problems over here toward the Abilene area over the next hour or so. Again, here's a close look at that severe storm. The large hail is moving now more to the southeast, so it's up here kind of on the county line, the Fisher-Nolan County line, but you're already getting some gusty winds here in the Sweetwater area, and that large hail core is going to be passing across the northeast side and east side of the Sweetwater area. Here's another tough storm that's moving southeast out of the Lubbock area, and there's an old severe thunderstorm watch for our northwestern areas in effect until 11 o'clock this evening. Here's a new severe thunderstorm watch that includes Abilene, the heart of the big country, until 11 o'clock this evening, primarily for that one severe storm that's here just on the north side of the Sweetwater area. Unfortunately, we're getting reports that it's producing hen egg size hail, so get inside and prepare for that large hail as best you can. We'll continue to track this. Now back to your program. You're tracking a severe storm moving out of the Sweetwater area. Our live tower cam at Trent Mesa. Yes, you can see that severe storm, and it's marching now more to the southeast with time. We've had several reports, unfortunately, of very large hail impacting the north side of Sweetwater. That hail core is now leaving the city and moving more off to the east, now kind of over here on the far east side of town. It looks like it's weakened for the moment, but these storms go through life cycles where they're producing very large hail. Golf ball size hail is still possible with this storm, and that warning has now been shifted more to the southeast, where it's over here toward Merkel into the western parts of Taylor County. That warning in effect until 8:15. Here's a closer look at that thunderstorm moving out of the Sweetwater area. Looks like it's going to bring maybe some rain and gusty winds to Trent, but here's the hail core now just south of the Interstate 20 corridor and kind of moving out there into, well, a lower populated area here. Kind of looks like it's going to pass to the south as far as the hail goes right now. We think it may pass just to the south of Trent, but Trent, you're going to get some very heavy rainfall and gusty winds. Here's another tough storm way up here around Post, and we'll monitor that. Here's our original severe thunderstorm watch for our northwestern areas until 11 o'clock. A new severe thunderstorm watch includes Abilene all the way up to Haskell, down over toward Brownwood. That's in effect until 11 o'clock this evening for this one supercell thunderstorm that has a history of producing, well, golf ball, hen egg size hail north of the Sweetwater area, and it's moving to the southeast. We'll continue to track it for you. Now back to your program. This supercell thunderstorm moving out of the city of Sweetwater. It's now over the Lake Sweetwater area. Reports from there indicating it's producing baseball-size hail, and you can see that is a severe storm just by looking at it. Looking at it on the radar, this is one severe storm in our entire area we are tracking. It's moving to the southeast, has a history of producing at least golf ball and sometimes larger hail, especially on the north and east sides of Sweetwater. And again, a late report here from the Lake Sweetwater area reporting baseball-size hail with this storm. It looks like it's tracking to the southeast. That would carry the hail south of Trent, but you're going to get some very heavy rain and strong winds. And unless the storm changes directions or changes structure, it looks like it'll pass to the south of Merkel, kind of heading right here toward the Trent Mesa area. And if we extrapolate this a bit, it kind of carries it down here toward the Buffalo Gap area. Right now, based on the track of the storm, it looks like it may pass to the west and south of Abilene proper, but still we're very close to this storm, so let's keep up with the latest on the weather. And this is a storm that is very severe, producing very large hail. Here's that warning that's in effect until 8:15. It does include Trent and Merkel, but right now we're seeing the hail passing to the south, but you could still get very heavy rainfall and strong gusty winds. Here's the latest hail signature kind of down there around the Lake Sweetwater area, and it looks like it's going to be tracking down there toward Blair, south of Trent. And very heavy rainfall, gusty winds, expect 60-mile-per-hour winds with this storm, and of course some very large hail. Another storm we're keeping our eye on is up here around Post, and that one's been trucking along, so it might actually get into our western areas. Severe thunderstorm watch continues for our northwestern areas until 11 o'clock, and a severe thunderstorm watch for Abilene up to Haskell, over to Throckmorton, down to Brownwood until 11 o'clock for mainly this one supercell storm that is just coming out of the Sweetwater area, starting to move into the Trent Mesa area. We're starting to get some rain there on the tower cam. Unfortunately, it's also producing some very large hail. Could be baseball-sized hail as it marches on to the southeast. We'll continue to track it for you. Now back to your program. Into the Trent Mesa area. Right now it's just producing some rainfall. We're monitoring to see if it produces some large hail, and unfortunately this one storm has a history of producing baseball-sized hail, and there's still a very strong signature here just south of Trent that indicates it likely is still producing baseball-sized hail. The storm is moving generally off to the southeast toward Cozart, and if you extrapolate that, it kind of carries it down toward Buffalo Gap, but it's going to be a close call as to whether that hail will pass truly to the west and south of the Abilene proper area. But around this storm, you can get 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts and dangerous cloud-to-ground lightning. Here's that warning that continues in effect until 8:15. I suspect it will be extended down there toward Buffalo Gap and probably will include at least the southern part of Abilene. Large hail still indicated in that tough storm south of Trent. There's that strong hail core, and it has a history of producing baseball-sized hail. And you see the way it's tracking. If it stays on this course, it would keep the hail core passing to the south and well to the west of Abilene. But if it changes course, well, that's a different story. So we're going to monitor that very closely. Here's another storm way up around Post, Texas. Severe thunderstorm watch in effect for our area because of that one storm moving out of the Sweetwater area. That watch in effect until 11 o'clock this evening. We'll continue to track this. Now back to your program. In this commercial break to update you on this severe storm moving out of the Sweetwater area, producing some very heavy rainfall at Trent Mesa, which is certainly welcome. But this storm also has a history of producing baseball-sized hail when it moved north and through the Sweetwater area. It's marching off to the southeast. The latest scan doesn't look quite as strong, but these storms go through phases where they look like they're weakening, and then they get their act together once again. Severe thunderstorm warning continues in effect here for areas between Sweetwater and Buffalo Gap, you might say, until 8:15 as that storm is marching off to the southeast and could be producing golf ball to baseball size hail. And that storm, when it moved through the Sweetwater area, unfortunately produced some very large hail, as large as baseball, especially there on the east side of town, was one report. Here is that tough storm. Yeah, it looks like it's still producing some very large hail. Now, the hail core is passing well to the south of Trent, passing south of Interstate 20 as it moves to the southeast. Well, it carries that risk of large hail down here toward the Buffalo Gap area, but you're going to get some very strong winds, very heavy rainfall, and even lightning well removed from this thunderstorm. In fact, we can get cloud-to-ground lightning here in the Abilene area, even though the toughest part of the storm is well to the west of town. Watching this weakening thunderstorm up around Post. Severe thunderstorm watch continues in effect for Abilene, most of the big country through 11 o'clock this evening, primarily for that one storm that is marching out of the Sweetwater area and now moving into the western parts of Taylor County, marching to the southeast. The storm has a history of producing baseball-sized hail, so get your car inside, get yourself inside, and you do see There's lightning even all the way over here into Abilene, even though the rain and severe part of the storm are well to the west of town. And we are monitoring, there is some rotation in that storm, so we're keeping our eye on that aspect as well. But so far, it's been strong winds and very large hail. We'll continue to track it. Now back to your program. This commercial break to update you on this severe storm that we're tracking, especially here in the western part of Taylor County. It moved across Trent Mesa with just some rainfall, and we are still tracking that tough storm. Unfortunately, it's still showing signs it could be producing baseball-sized hail as it's moving on to the southeast. And on this track, fortunately, it keeps that large hail away from Abilene proper, but it kind of sends it down here toward Buffalo Gap, Tuscola, and then into the far southeastern parts of Taylor County based on the current motion of the storm. But you see, it's been moving fairly steadily off to the southeast. Now, we are getting some cloud-to-ground lightning in the Abilene area, so stay inside for that. This warning about to time out, but I'm feeling that it's going to be extended down here toward Buffalo Gap here before too long as that storm continues to march off to the southeast. Latest hail markers showing at least baseball-sized hail with that storm, and that hail core looks like it's going to pass very near Buffalo Gap, maybe west and south of Buffalo Gap, but it's a pretty close call. So folks in Buffalo Gap, make sure you've got your belongings protected. Here's the history of that storm. Did produce, well, golf ball and baseball size hail, especially north on the east side of Sweetwater earlier this evening, and that storm continuing to march off to the southeast. It looks like the hail is, way we're seeing it right now, will stay to the west of Dyess Air Force Base, but heading down there toward Buffalo Gap and farther into the southern part of Taylor County. But we are getting some cloud-to-ground lightning even away from this thunderstorm. And so stay inside because of that lightning risk. You just don't know when that lightning is going to just come down out of the sky. Another thunderstorm we're tracking coming out of Post. That one has no warning right now. Severe thunderstorm watch continues in effect for much of the big country, including Abilene, all the way over there to, well, Albany and Putnam and all the way down to Brownwood for this one severe storm that we are tracking. We'll continue to keep our eye on it. Now back to your program. Severe storm now here in the western part of Taylor County. It's moved across the Trent Mesa area, bringing just some heavy rainfall, but unfortunately within this rain, there's also a large hail core indicated in this storm, and this storm has a history of producing at least tennis ball size hail, and that hail core is passing very near Buffalo Gap on the west, maybe south side of Buffalo Gap. We had a report of 2-inch diameter hail when it crossed the highway there, 277, at the Baptist camp there, and that continues to march on to the southeast, carrying that hail core again near Buffalo Gap down toward Tuscola. We are monitoring some rotation in that storm, but it's mainly been the large damaging hail, strong winds, and some very heavy rainfall. Severe thunderstorm warning in effect for areas south of Abilene proper, although you don't have to go too far outside the loop here to find that warning, and it's especially down here toward Buffalo Gap and Tuscola where we're seeing that large hail indicated. Here's that hail core. Now, good news, it is coming down for the moment, but this storm has a history of sort of looking like it's going to weaken and then it gets its act together once again. So just plan on this storm producing, yes, probably tennis ball size hail still as it moves down here, now probably passing to the south of Buffalo Gap, but kind of heading toward Tuscola and down toward Lawn, the way it's tracking at the moment. And yeah, it does have some rotation in the storm, but so far it's been mainly just the hail that's been the problem. And we are seeing a lot of cloud-to-ground lightning even away from that storm. Watching another thunderstorm kind of moving out of the South Plains heading here toward the Snyder area. There's a severe thunderstorm warning in effect for that one. We'll keep our eye on it. Severe thunderstorm watch for this storm here southwest of Abilene. That watch in effect until 11 o'clock this evening. Now back to your program. During this commercial break, our live tower cam at Trent Mesa, we're looking at the backside of that thunderstorm that's down here in south central Taylor County, and that storm continues to march to the southeast and still could be producing tennis ball, baseball size hail. And it's been pretty steady in its southeastward motion, and it looks like the hail core, the worst of it, is probably down here more toward the state park, and may miss Buffalo Gap proper as far as the large hail goes, but you might get some small hail. Very heavy rainfall, frequent lightning, and gusty winds are possible around this storm, but the hail core itself is kind of heading down here to pass south of the Buffalo Gap area, more down maybe towards Tuscola, and then down eventually toward Lawn is the way it's tracking. Warning in effect until 9:15 for possible baseball-sized hail. Also 60-mile-per-hour winds and some very heavy rainfall. And you see that warning is south of Abilene proper. It's down south of the Loop, and really it's down here toward Buffalo Gap and Tuscola where you encounter some bad weather. Still large hail indicated on the hail markers, and that storm is marching here toward Tuscola and eventually toward Lawn, although we are getting some lightning all the way up here into the Abilene area still. Most of it's around the storm as you would expect, but yeah, we're getting lightning even removed from the storm itself, so let's continue to be careful. Here's a strong storm we've been watching for about 2 hours. It started up there south of the Lubbock area. It's marching down to the southeast, kind of heading towards Snyder. Could be producing some hail, although the hail signatures are coming down and gusty winds are possible. A warning in effect for northern Scurry County all the way down to the city of Snyder until 9:30 this evening, and a severe thunderstorm watch continues in effect for much of the big country, primarily for this one storm that's down here south of the Abilene area. We'll continue to track it. Now back to your program. During this commercial break, to update you on our severe weather situation, live tower cam at Trent Mesa. We're looking at the back of that severe storm that's here in the south central part of Taylor County, and unfortunately it still looks like it's producing damaging hail. This storm has a history of producing baseball-size hail, and it's moving more to the south, so it looks like it may keep that large hail just to the west and south of Tuscola. Looks like the hail signatures are now well south of Buffalo Gap, but it's kind of heading down here toward the community of Bradshaw. Lawn, it's going to be kind of a close call if that storm visits you. Best course of action, get inside and prepare for possible large hail. That warning continues in effect until 9:15, does not include any part of Abilene, and as you see, that storm continues to move farther south from the Abilene area. But the latest hail indication, yes, damaging large baseball-sized hail heading toward the community of Bradshaw, and soon it'll be in northern Reynolds County as that storm moves off to the southeast, is producing a lot of cloud-to-ground lightning, even away from where the thunderstorm is located, but now starting to lose some of that lightning here in the Abilene area. Here's a tough storm we've been tracking for 2 hours. Does have some strong rotation in it, so the National Weather Service office in Midland has decided to issue a tornado warning for this storm. It's based on strong rotation in the storm. We have no reports of a tornado on the ground, and this storm could be producing some large, well, golf ball size hail as it moves right down US 84, kind of in the general direction towards Snyder. That warning does include Fluvanna and Dermont, but does not include the Snyder area at this time, so we'll continue to monitor that tough storm out there, and we have that tough storm that's moving south away from Abilene, but moving soon into the northern parts of Reynolds County. Folks east of Winters, be on the lookout for that storm. Severe thunderstorm watch continues in effect until 11 o'clock. Now back to your program. This severe storm in southern Taylor County, and also a tough storm in northwestern Scurry County. First of all, the storm that's here in the southern part of Taylor County has a history of producing baseball-sized hail. It's turning more to the south and could bring that baseball-sized hail threat to the community of Bradshaw, and it looks like it's going to be pretty close to Lawn. It's now south of Buffalo Gap and south of Tuscola, although you could get some gusty winds and a lot of cloud-to-ground lightning still in Tuscola. That warning in effect well to the south of Abilene, really down here in the southern part of Taylor County, and that'll be crossing over into northern Reynolds County here before too long. Latest hail signature looks like it's coming down a bit, but yeah, we've seen this storm look like it was going to weaken, and then it just got going once again. But the largest hail signature indicated down here by the community of Bradshaw. This is now well to the south of Buffalo Gap, south of Tuscola, and this may pass just to the west of Lawn, so looking better for the folks in Lawn. That storm is moving off to the south-southeast and producing some very heavy rainfall, a lot of cloud-to-ground lightning, especially near the storm, but even a little bit away from the storm, although we're not quite seeing the amount of lightning all the way up here into Abilene proper we were earlier, but yes, a lot of lightning with that storm. Here's a storm that actually started south of Lubbock. It's still going on, moving pretty much down US 84, kind of towards Snyder. There is still some rotation in the storm, enough that the National Weather Service has put in a tornado warning for this storm, and the storm could be producing at least quarter-size hail, maybe up to golf ball size hail, and that hail course kind of going right down the main highway towards Snyder, so watch out for that. Officially a warning, tornado warning in effect because of radar indicated rotation. Last I looked, it was here near Dermont. It was where the area of concern was for a possible tornado. Again, it's all radar indicated, no confirmation of a tornado on the ground, but folks in Snyder, be on the lookout for this storm kind of heading your general direction. That warning in effect until 9:30. Severe thunderstorm watch in effect for much of our area, primarily for just these two storms. Initially, the watch for that storm that's here south of Abilene, north of Winters, and then now we have this other storm that's reappeared over there around the Snyder area that we'll have to continue to monitor. Now back to your program.